How's it going, folks? My name, as always, is Stephen Wolf, and today we're going to be assembling and painting a high-grade after-colony Gunpla, the OZ-06 Leo. Full disclosure, as of the filming and editing of this video, I'm neither sponsored nor endorsed by Bandai, Sunrise, or any Gunpla-related companies. All tools, supplies, and kits have been purchased by me. Last note before we dive in, if you happen to enjoy this build overview, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications so you'll know as soon as the latest project goes live. For those of you new to the hobby, Gunpla are a unique hybrid of model kits and highly posable action figures, the very name being a portmanteau of Gundam and plastic model kit. It should be noted that these kits require sharp tools, such as nippers and detail knives, to remove them from the plastic sprue or runner, so please exercise caution as you explore this hobby further. And if you're under 18, please make sure a parent or guardian is present. For today's kit, we'll be utilizing a fresh X-Acto knife, a pair of entry-grade nippers, a gray panel lining marker, and, to the shock horror of veteran Gunpla builders, a metallic gold Sharpie. This video is neither the time nor the place to get into the goofy, decades-long debate of Sharpie versus Gundam marker, but I'll say this: however you decide to approach the painting and detail work of your Gunpla is entirely up to you. The assembly of the Leo starts quite simply, as the feet and shins are identical. Effort should be taken to carefully clean the sprue connections off of the parts, so that each piece looks and fits as intended. You may notice my camera is rapidly losing consciousness, so while past Steve attempts to correctly mount the thing, I'll briefly go into why this kit exists, the Gunpla Evolution Project. The Gunpla Evolution Project is an effort by Bandai to clean up, expand upon, and simplify the Gunpla build process. As these kits have literally been around since the 80s, Bandai has taken steps to update and refine the quality of finished Gunpla. In my opinion, the Leo is a fantastic example of this refinement. Relatively inexpensive, easy to follow instructions, and at no point is quality being sacrificed for quantity. With that lore dump out of the way, I'll give the floor to past Steve, who has some important words to say about panel lining, when it's appropriate, and suggested tools. Something important that I'm going to try and do while I build the figure, it's a good habit to have while you're building the figure, is looking at the instructions and taking things a couple pages ahead, right? So we know for a fact we have the feet built, and then it's a matter of looking at how they're going to look a couple steps ahead. So the only parts that are really going to be showing are going to be these ankle balls here. The feetsies. Any sort of detailing should be done now. That way you don't have to worry about it at the very end when you might not have access to that area. So what I'm going to do, always shake your Gundam marker to make sure, and then simply, wait. I forgot an important part. Try to avoid using your fingers when painting with a Gundam marker. Always have some type of paper towels or straight up toilet paper on hand so you can simply and then just boom. Now we don't have to go crazy on the feet. However, that little bit of extra detail will just heighten the shadows whenever, assuming the feet are visible, it'll heighten the shadows just that little bit. Now, the other reason we utilize toilet paper rather than just wipe it with our hand is the potential for smearing. And there we go. And of course, once over on the inside. and once over on the inside. Now, while I have the Gundam marker out and about, and we're discussing this, it's important to know how other options will behave. Now, I haven't seen this discussed in other videos, so I'm going to do what I can to show this here. Let's say you're on a budget. You don't want to utilize a Gundam marker, but you still want your figures to look fantastic. Absolutely understandable. Don't get this. Simply because a Gundam marker, I make sure to use a gray Gundam marker because black looks a bit too harsh. And this area I can show it to you because the plating on the foot will cover it up. A Gundam marker will have that nice detail line, right? And with a little bit of toilet paper or your wiping rag of choice, just get in there, wipe the excess off, and it'll look fantastic, right? Nice little panel line right there. Here, I will zoom in the camera so you can actually see what I'm up to for this particular bit. Okay, as we can see here, when we do the panel lining and the detail work, it has this nice sharp line and nice sharp detailing. When we utilize a Sharpie, and we attempt the same technique, not only does it not want to cooperate with coming off, it has this weird purple reflectiveness to it. You can see it catching the light right there. And it doesn't feel like a line. It doesn't feel like a detail. It stands out, and not in a good way. So do what you can to avoid regular fine detail Sharpies when painting Gundams. Now, that being said, when it comes to metallic markers, you can do a great deal of creativity, especially with unit markings or interesting fiddly details. But, you know, make sure to practice on an area that can't be seen. Otherwise, you're going to run into problems. Continuing on. It should be noted that this method, filling in panel lines as you go, does add to the overall build time. Personally, I'd rather take the extra time to really dial in the details, instead of having to disassemble a finished model to get to said details. Assembling the feet went quite smoothly. However, for my own sanity, I applied a small amount of glue to the inside of the heel and toe connectors. I almost never use glue on Gunpla unless the situation is impressively dire. It's very easy to slip or go above and beyond and permanently affix something that's supposed to be articulated or removable. With feet and ankle armor assembled, the next step is the shin armor. One of the nice quality of life touches is how symmetrical the kit is. At no point was there any guesswork or confusion about what piece went where, as the instructions utilized full-color 3D models to walk you through. In an effort to maintain the aesthetics of the figure, I dug out my ancient micro-finishing pads. Normally, these are used to clean up, smooth out, and polish what you're working on, similar to nail files or those snazzy Gundam files. The thought process is that, since you're not required to paint a Gunpla, the raw plastic should be as presentable as possible. Sadly, the pads I used were significantly worse for wear, so moving forwards, I'll be acquiring some better tools. With one last dash of detailing, and approximately 2 hours into the build, the legs of the Leo are complete. I feel it should be said that while building model kits, miniatures, and Gunpla is a fun hobby, you should never feel any sort of time crunch or pressure to create or perform. Yes, there are competitive builders and painters out there. And yes, the incentive to perform, thanks to peer pressure through social media, it's there. You should only be putting in this time and effort for yourself, not for anyone else. Finding what makes you happy and nurturing it. That's all that matters. The next steps in the build is the waist and torso. A design quirk of the Leo that it inherited from its predecessor Tall Geese is that its jump jets, or vernier system, is strictly mounted at the belt line of the mobile suit, rather than the traditional placements of the back and calves, and infrequently the forearms. As a side note, I haven't been able to find if it's pronounced vernier or vernier in the Gundam universe, so leave a comment with the correct answer. I'd greatly appreciate it. A common trope that Gundam design avoids is having the pilot and cockpit in the head of the mech. While franchises and films that I love play this trope straight, such as Battletech, Robot Jocks, and Pacific Rim, mobile suits have the pilot safely nestled near the center of the torso, depending on the design in the series, of course. While it is possible to have a visible cockpit on a Gunpla, I've only seen this done with real-grade kits, the high-grade gun tank, and the significantly larger master-grade and perfect-grade Gunpla. Down the road, I intend to make a brief video elaborating on the differences in scale, with a voiceover and visual examples from my collection of models, miniatures, and action figures. That could be a lot of fun. With the torso assembled, it became immediately obvious that any safe handling and posing would necessitate holding the Leo by its waist. The torso is only attached by a single polycap joint, and as such it's unable to support the weight of the legs if suspended by the arms or torso. That being said, almost all available figure stands will plug into the hip socket or rest around the hip pegs, making this a relatively minor concern. Up next with the arms, I was a bit nervous going in, because I've never been a fan of ball shoulders. It fits the aesthetic of certain Gunpla, such as the gun cannon and gun tank, but hiding seams and articulation on those rounded edges always felt like an effort in potential frustration. Thankfully, those concerns went out the window with clever design choices and movable armor plates. However, I ran into an unexpected complication. The left arm didn't sit properly in the socket, causing it to come out whenever I attempted to move the arm. This could cause multiple cascading issues. Mainly, it wouldn't be able to support any weight from props or even extended posing. The second issue, and the one that had me in panic mode, was that trying to move the shoulder joint would cause unnecessary stress on the connecting peg. Over time, this could warp or outright break the peg. So I got to work on solutions. Step 1 was to see if it simply didn't cooperate with that particular shoulder socket. And this is why we don't glue our Gunpla. After disassembling the torso, I found it wasn't necessarily an issue with the socket itself, but where the socket connected to the torso. But shaving the socket marginally improved mobility, leaving the peg's fit into the socket the only remaining issue. Using a length of double-sided sticky tape that came with my Gunpla action base, I tried two methods. First, patting the inside of the socket, which frustratingly didn't work. Then, I simply buffed the diameter of the socket itself, which was a resounding success. In situations like this, It's critical that you know the tools available to you and how they interact with each other. Now, with that random encounter out of the way, we rewind to the home stretch. We finally equip the gold Sharpie, simply to paint the back of the lens frame. In my opinion, it makes the yellow lens stand out just that little bit more. The rest of the head structure was incredibly easy to build, and with just a dash of panel lining, the Leo was complete. Only the props are left now: a standardized 105mm machine gun, a mounted shield, and 2 beam swords. The machine gun was about as complex as a Sten gun: a barrel in a tube with iron sights, and a healthy-sized drum magazine, carrying an estimated 100 rounds in the lore. The shield was unique in that it replaces the shoulder armor by mounting onto the same slots. The beam swords were bog-standard handles that the blades plug into, with a subtle mounting spot at the shield. I found the safest way to remove the beam sword handles was by slipping my fingernail between the gap and using it to pry it off, to prevent damaging the peg it locks into. With all of that wrapped up in a casual 4.5-hour build, the Leo is complete. As always, folks, thank you for watching my videos. If you happen to enjoy it, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the next art video when it's released. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, by all means, the comment section is right down below. Unfortunately, though, we're out of time for today. So until we meet again, stay classy, Internet.